Hi, everyone, and welcome to the collective illumination reading for the week of June 26th through July 2nd. Hi, everyone. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for soul illumination. My name is Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We are going to get started by pulling a card to take a look at a general theme for the week ahead. And then we'll dive a little deeper into kind of opening up the different aspects of the experience to see what we can all expect. So I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. I actually had a very happy event happen in our family. My brother-in-law just got engaged to his wonderful longtime girlfriend, so we are very excited about that. I hope you and yours maybe have something to celebrate as well. But we have deep knowing, number 43, which breaks down to the number 7 in numerology. And the number 7 is a really beautiful number. It is all about spirit. It is the number of the divine. It is also the number of our connection to that and the confidence that comes in knowing that we are each co-creating with spirit as we go through our life experience. What I love with this deep knowing is that we have the owl here in the middle, and the owl often can represent, for some of us, it can represent wisdom, kind of that all-knowing, all-seeing experience. It can also be a representation of the divine or of God. But what I'm feeling here with kind of seeing the owls sitting on what looks to be probably what we would assume is the Earth or another planetary body with the moon behind it. It's almost like it's sitting right in between the two. So there's this feeling of kind of being with the moon and in the tarot, there's a feeling of kind of the unknown, of what's in shadow versus what we see on Earth. There's always kind of that juxtaposition between us, the sun, illumination, and then the moon and shadow. And what I love about this is that there's this kind of almost like harmony that I'm feeling coming through here for us this week of being able to be in the illumination as well as the shadow and being almost just like perfectly balanced in between. And there's a wisdom coming in, a balancing of those two, when we can actually kind of look at the sun and solar energy almost as masculine when we think about it, and the feminine can be moon or I guess, yes, I would say moon. Moon energy, because we often associate the moon with feminine cycles. In the tarot, Cancer rules, Cancer and Pisces both rule the card that speaks to the moon itself, but Cancer as a sign is ruled by the moon, so we often kind of associate that with the divine mother or the divine I'm sorry, guys. Something caught my eye outside. I was just making sure we weren't going to have a little visitor come crawling into our backyard here. Oh, beautiful. So we have the Two of Cups come through as well. Yes, this is partnership, divine connection. The Two of Cups really speaks to equality. And what's interesting here is in this specific depiction, there's a dark cup and a light cup with the head of the lion in between there, and the lion does represent kind of that Leo energy, but also Leo itself as a sign is ruled by the sun. So there's something around kind of illumination as to partnerships and relationships, both within and then equally something that we can then share with others without. So I get the feeling this week this is a really beautiful awareness of how we need to balance the masculine and the feminine, both the light and the dark, how we can sit in a place of wisdom within, and then be able to start to see that come out into our experience external to us, meaning that as we balance ourselves within, as we come to this kind of deep place of wisdom and knowing, we can then go ahead and equally come to the table with others. This is almost like I get the feeling of kind of repairing our maybe relationship dynamics, but first repairing it from within, where there's not one part of ourself that's at war with another, where we kind of see the bigger picture of all aspects of ourself, both light and dark. And then we're able to bring that awareness to see the same in our close, intimate relationships or partnerships, because that's really what the Two of Cups speaks to. So this can be a really, I think, beautiful week ahead for many of us, a week of deep connection, both within and without. Okay, so now I'm going to pull cards down here. We're going to look at the 4 different elements to our experience. So we're going to look at our emotions, our thoughts, our physical presence, and then we're going to be looking at our passion and where and how we choose to take action. So first we're going to take a look here at themes and what we can experience around this on an emotional sense for ourselves here. So what can we all expect, or what is a message we can keep in mind as we are engaging with our emotional core? Now I like to look at our spiritual and emotional health and mental health just as much as we like to look at our physical health, right? When we think about, let's say, going to the gym or working out in a physical sense, we could say, oh, we're going to work out your core today. And your core is that part of ourself that really is integral to being strong in the body, because it's what holds us upright. It really is what allows kind of all of the aspects of our body to be connected in a strong and healthy way. And when we think about our emotional core, I really do feel that that is the key to our spiritual health, that we really have to maintain a certain level of health in the emotional aspect of our experience, because that does actually end up eventually affecting our physical and mental states if we don't stay aware of it. It's actually I always look at our emotional core as the plug-in point between our spirit, our self, and our external environment, how we actually connect to the world. So we have here, oh, I love it. It says, I love you. These are powerful words. Number 20, breaking down to another number 2. Yeah, this is a week of love. And, when we think of I love you, it's such a simple, 3 words literally. And yet it can convey such a very powerful message. And it doesn't have to be something that is only said to romantic partnerships in our life. When we think about love as a whole, we can express this to everyone we come in contact with. That is the hope. That is how we should attempt to go through life, in my perspective, is being able to love others as much as we can love ourselves, and we hope that that's reciprocated and we can love everybody's uniqueness. And the fact that they get to add a little something to our experience that we normally would not have been able to experience if that person did not come into our field or was not living into the world. But I can say here that this is a week on the emotional sense to really say these words to both yourself, and to love, again, the light and the dark aspects of yourself, to love that that's what makes you unique, but also to look at each and every person you connect with this week. And even if it might not be appropriate for you to say, I love you out loud, let's say to a coworker or, a friend, if you don't have that kind of relationship, this is something to think these words into your interaction with that person, to really look at what you can love in them, and also kind of look at them through the eyes of the divine. Like if we think about each one of us being a child of the divine design of God, if you will, or a greater, higher power, that there's this sense of we are all special and beautiful. Just like when we look at our own child, for those of you who are parents, there's this feeling of you see the uniqueness in the individual that you've given birth to. And there's something here around really being able to bring that energy into every interaction this week. And I think it's almost sometimes like we can have these weeks where it's almost like a scientific test to say, if I go through life focusing on love, at the end of the week, when I look back at how I felt throughout that week and what I was grateful for and the interactions and what ended up coming out of the week, I think this can be one of those weeks where it's like that shocking moment of just how powerful the energy of love can be and is. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a card here to take a look at what we can focus on in our mental experience. So let's see what we are all looking at here. Okay, so we have three. So you have these two that came out together, which is interesting, and then we have one that came out here. So the one that came out first was no. It says no, wait, postpone, pause, say no. And then we have, ironically, yes, just say yes with trust the niggle. What is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? Now, this is very interesting that we have both yes and no. I'm definitely going to pull some clarifiers here. So let me see how I can position these so we can see them all. Now, this may be a week where we all get a chance when we think about it. We often can, in our mental plane of experience, we can try to rationalize something. And we can go back and forth and say, should I say yes? Should I say no? And yet in the middle here is trust the niggle. It's saying trust not your mind. It's trusting your heart, trusting the love you feel for someone or the love you feel for even yourself, and using that as the emotional intuitive guide to trust that feeling, because that will be the difference between you saying yes or saying no. I personally am a big proponent of saying yes whenever you can. I'm not one of those people who prompts you to say yes to everything, because obviously we all need to have boundaries up around certain things. And if we just said yes, we would have a very different experience of our, I would say, personal empowerment, our ability to maintain some element of control in our experience. But I would definitely say, if we're thinking about yes and no, if the no this week, if something does come up for us where we are kind of on the fence about something, yes or no, and we really get into that place of looking at if we're going to say no or we're going to say yes, to really ask ourselves, how do we feel about both? What are we kind of feeling? What is our initial inclination? And if we try to talk ourselves out of it, where and why are we talking ourselves out of it? Where is that coming from? Is it coming from an emotional state of fear? Is it coming from an emotional state of joy? So really kind of looking at it in that sense. So I'll dive a little deeper into it, but this is saying, for those of you who are looking to make a decision, it's trusting. It's trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting your emotional connection through the energy of love. And if this is something similar to kind of what my brother and soon-to-be sister-in-law just went through, this could be, where you're being asked the question and it's saying, should I say yes or no? Well, obviously, hopefully, looking through the eyes of love, you will be able to make that decision. And I just want to prompt, saying yes or saying no, there is no right or wrong. Saying yes is not better or good than, let's say, or more good than saying no. In this decision here, it's about understanding where the why is coming from, connecting first to the energy of love, and that'll give you the clarity as to what answer is more in alignment with the energy of love. Deep knowing, and I'm just going to put this out there because it just kind of came through, this could be where, for some of you, if it's not pertaining to, let's say, romantic love, this could just be that deep knowing of, connecting with someone in your workplace, a manager, a boss you've long, worked with. And, you're sitting here saying, wow, I've loved working here, loved working for you. But there's a deep knowing that I have this week that I love that we've been able to connect on this intimate level, but I have this niggling feeling that it's time for me to move on. It could be something like that, but it doesn't mean that you can't honor where you're at and not express openly to the people that maybe you're moving on from that you love them and you feel the support, but there's something here that is more in alignment now with loving of yourself. So that's just an example, where if it's not like you're being asked to marry someone and you're saying yes, it could be something like that in your work environment. I love it. So in our physical experience, it says surrender to inner peace. It says cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. I do love this card in this deck because it is something to be said that often we, in our physical experience, we don't experience peace. We are go, go, go throughout our day. Our mind is racing. We're planning for the future. We're checking off our boxes, or we're anxiously worried about something. And we don't just stop to just experience that peace of deep knowing that you are here for a reason, of deep knowing that you are surrounded by love, of deep knowing that there are intimate partnerships and connections that want to share your love and support you. And just knowing that sometimes just breathing and just being is enough. That is the gift of life. And when we can stop in this in our kind of hectic living schedules, just to stop and say, I'm here. And that's enough. It can be a portal on the physical sense to open ourselves up to the energy of love, which is what I do feel connects all of us on the emotional sense. It's almost like allowing ourselves to plug in and recharge. So this is a good week to really, I get the feeling this week is going to be kind of calm. It's going to be in the energy of love. It's going to be one where we're connecting with others, and where maybe there is a decision that needs to be made here that, for some of us could be life-changing. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what's coming up now in the energy of the realm of passion. So what can we expect to take a look at, or what are we being asked to embody as we express our passion and choose to take action from that place? What can we expect around passion and action? Oh, I love it. Judgment. Judgment is number 20, also breaking down to number 2. So this is an energy this week of harmonizing, of balancing two sides. It can also be balancing the masculine and the feminine, balancing yourself within the relationship dynamic of two. And then there's this decision, which also has two sides, right? But with you in the middle, with your intuition, with the love of yourself, the love of others, and really being able to trust that this week. Judgment speaks to a massive change for ourselves. Judgment, when we're thinking about it on the side of passion and how we choose to take action, this is saying that there is a chance for all of us to literally step forward as a new version of ourselves in how we interact with others. We have the chance to level up in a way. Judgment comes when we are literally being asked to release an old version of ourselves or way of being, and we are being called up, as you can see, almost like being called up from the dead as a new version of yourself. Something has happened that has changed your life forever. You are now a new version of yourself because of again, an old way. I like to express judgment in the way where you wake up one day and you look in the mirror and it's like, I can't go back to who I was yesterday. It's that deep knowing of, I will never be able to work in that job again in the way that I have for the past 20 years. Or it's becoming a first-time parent and you can never go back to not having been a parent. It's like it's changed you. You are now a parent forever. Or until the child leaves that experience. It's one of those things where But I do get the feeling here with this being in our zone of action, it's saying we now have the opportunity to actually be reborn in how we act out of love and how we interact with others, and how we are balanced within and how we can bring that balance out into relationship dynamics here. It's very beautiful, actually, very beautiful reading. And as I pull my clarifier card, look what comes out at the bottom. Just popped out, Two of Cups again. We'll see if that wants to come out. So I am going to clarify the Two of Cups just to see what else wants to come out of there, and then I'll clarify what's going on down below. So what do we need to know about the Two of Cups here? Eight of Cups. Yeah, walking away from what no longer... yeah, in the Tower. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, letting the Tower fall. This can be a very emotionally opening moment, a week for all of us, where we truly, when we think about walking away from something that no longer emotionally fulfills us, it doesn't have to be walking away from a relationship or walking away from a job that we're just no longer happy with. This can literally just be walking away from a way of being that was not emotionally serving us, meaning where we were allowing others to not appreciate us, or we were coming from kind of a poverty mindset and we're like, you know what, I'm not going to keep feeding that anymore. I'm not pouring that from my cup into that emotional pool. And suddenly the Tower comes down. The Tower is a massive moment of liberation where finally we get a chance to see. Now, what's interesting here too is I always, for myself personally, I look at the Eight of Cups representing the individual who realizes that in order to go from the 8 to the 10 of Cups, which is the true happy family card, ultimate heart's fulfillment and the emotional, being able to experience that here on earth, that it's the realization of I have to connect with another to bring that in. That I always feel that this is saying on some level, no matter how much emotional commitment we pour into something in our life, if we don't have the ability to connect that with others, then it's nothing. So it's almost like this individual may not be walking away from these 8 cups forever. He or she instead is walking towards someone to connect it with and maybe even bring them back to say, look at what I've invested in. I'd love to share it with you. So there's something here around that message coming through. But for many of us, this is that realization of walking away from a lifestyle, some element in our experience that needed to have connection brought into it, intimate connection, and walking away from something that probably was not supportive or coming from the energy of love. Okay, so let's go ahead here and see about this, say yes or no down here, the trusting the niggle. What do we need to know about trusting that gut intuition feeling we are having with this deep knowing? I like the deep knowing and the trust the niggle. Something here coming around that. So we have the Hanged Man and the Five of Cups. Yeah, seeing a past disappointment in a new way. And I always love this card with the Five of Cups because it's saying the Three of Cups have been spilled and the individual is very focused on that. That's the disappointing factor. But yet here's those 2 cups still standing behind him. And I think this is the week where you get to realize there is that realization in the Hanged Man experience of, oh my gosh, I've been looking over here the whole time at what I've lost, and what I haven't realized is what actually I gained from that experience and what's been here the whole time. That intimate connection, that support that's wanted to come in. And maybe that's what's actually allowing you to have clarity as to saying yes or no in some aspect of your experience. Okay, that was way too many. I was going to see if we can get one or 2 more cards here. But that might be it. I think that's it. We'll leave it there. Let's see about judgment. What do we need to know about this kind of revolutionary change in how we connect with others? Oh, I love it. King of Cups. Yeah. Coming from a deep place. I mean, when we talk about deep knowing, that is the energy of Scorpio. It's also really coming from that place of emotional maturity, of honoring our emotions, leading from that place, but doing so in a responsible manner. And then we have the Five of Wands. So yeah, there's almost this feeling of being able to, because the Five of Wands can be someone who, it can be the energy of chaos. It can be too many cooks in the kitchen, a little craziness. And yet here's the King of Cups sitting quietly in his throne, holding his cup of love. And it's almost like someone's sitting there with all this stuff going on external to themselves, and they are at peace. Because that's what the King of Cups really speaks to. You can see he's sitting in his throne, and yet there's choppy waves underneath, but he is calm and serene. And it's almost like we're being asked to go out into the chaos, the world without, but coming from this place of inner peace, coming from this place of being able to simply just hold out your cup. And it's almost like all of the chaos stops and all those people turn around. And instead of trying to run up to you and hit you with their sticks, they look down and say, oh, where's my cup? Let me pull out my cup and come greet you. There's a feeling around that. It's almost like a hard stop to the chaos, a hard stop to the, it could even be too many opinions and things like that. And you're like, no, I'm just going to trust my own intuition. Everyone can have their own say, but for me, I'm choosing to trust my deep knowing. I'm choosing to trust my emotions, and I'm going to be the one that can almost like walk through fire untouched. It's a bigger message coming through here. Yeah, at the bottom of the deck, I can see that, the Emperor. This is taking back control of your own life, but through the energy of balance, of harmony, of connecting with others. This is not about being the Emperor to lord over others, try to control others, or trying to assert your authority or dominant energy in relationships or in a partnership. This is saying coming from that place of wholeness from within, coming from that place of understanding you are the Emperor to your own life experience. So you get to actually control how you choose to interact with others. That's within your control. And coming from that place of wholeness then allows you to responsibly connect to others from that healthy place of allowing them to do the same. So there's this beautiful element of really, for many of us this week, of really getting clear on how we connect, how we can change how we connect with others, how we can come from this place of inner peace, inner knowing, the realization to say yes to connection, which is beautiful. So for those of you, again, since this is a week all about the deep knowing, this is saying trust the energy of love. I love you. Very powerful words. And that will allow you to, I think, see something that was maybe long seemed disappointing to you. You can see it in a new light. You can see who's there to connect with. And it's to say yes to those connections. Yes to those connections, and to walk away from anything that is not supportive of yourself, of the love of self, of even the love of others. And when that's not supportive of a sense of inner peace and inner emotional contentment. And by the end of this week, I think we'll all get a chance to see just the power of love. All right, I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderfully loving week ahead. I would love to see comments from anyone who watches this as to what their experience was after focusing on this for the week. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below. Otherwise, I will be posting individual just mini reads for this theme, but for each individual sign coming up over the next couple of days. And then I will be releasing July's full tarot scope for each sign starting at the end of this week. All right, everyone, I hope to see you next week for our next illumination reading. Bye, everyone.